That was the real mind-expanding moment. And I think to myself, shit, I mean, I could have been listening to that forever. Play with the voices at the very end of it's just stunning.
By the time Led Zeppelin's debut detonated into record shops in early 1969, Britain's music scene had already spun through a full cycle of revolutions. Skiffle had burned out, Merseybeat was fading, psychedelia had burst into colour, and then came Zeppelin. What they brought was something deeper, darker, and more elemental, a sound that felt less like a style and more like a summoning. Yet for all their raw force and innovation, Robert Plant never claimed that Zeppelin emerged from nowhere. "We didn't come out of a vacuum," he once said. "We were living and breathing the music that shaped us. Those wild records that hit you in the gut and stayed in your blood." Through the years, Plant has named albums that didn't just inspire him, they formed him. Records that became the bedrock of his imagination, the blueprint for how he understood power, melody, and mystery. And like the man himself, his choices defy convention.
Music from New Orleans, Philadelphia, Chicago. You know, so many different cities had so much absolutely different music to offer us.
These aren't the predictable names from the rock canon. No Beatles, no Stones. Instead, they're more primal, more personal. Albums that reek of sweat, smoke, and the fever of early rock and global sound. Each one, a chapter in the story of how Robert Plant became the voice that could make thunder sound human. 6. Elvis's Golden Records by Elvis Presley. It's impossible to overstate the seismic impact Elvis Presley had on young musicians across the Atlantic. But for Plant, it wasn't the polished balladeer or Hollywood icon that left the deepest mark. It was the raw, untamed energy captured on compilations like Elvis's Golden Records. This collection, released in 1958, distilled everything dangerous and electric about Presley's early work. That record just punched its way out of the speakers, Plant recalled. There was this electricity in his voice that wasn't about technique. It was about instinct. Tracks like Jailhouse Rock and Hound Dog weren't carefully constructed performances, delivered with a feral energy that couldn't be taught or replicated.
I didn't want to hear Elvis doing a Neil Diamond song. Right. I wanted him, I mean, it was bad enough him coming out of the army and doing Are You Lonesome Tonight? You know, I wanted him to stay wild, to give me all those edges, that kind of, that howl that he had. But, you know, he was just amazing and spectacular, and it was just, it's great.
This primal edge, this sense of pure instinct over calculation, became fundamental to Plant's own approach. The influence permeates Zeppelin's catalogue. You can hear Elvis's DNA in the galloping urgency of Good Times, Bad Times, the vocal swagger on Communication Breakdown, and the raw sensuality that Plant brought to blues standards. Presley showed that you didn't need to respect boundaries or play it safe if you could tear through a song with pure animal magnetism. Even decades into his solo career, Plant continued paying homage, occasionally slipping Presley covers into live sets with a knowing smile. Those old devotions, it seems, die hard. Elvis didn't just influence Plant's voice, he shaped his entire philosophy of performance. 5. Howlin Wolf, Moanin' in the Moonlight.
Oh, day you shine like...
Where Elvis brought swing and sensuality, Chester Burnett, known as Howlin Wolf, offered something more dangerous and essential. His 1959 compilation, Moanin' in the Moonlight, gathered some of his most powerful chess recordings, including Smokestack Lightning and How Many More Years. This wasn't entertainment, it was survival. Raw emotion channeled through superhuman vocal cords and hypnotic guitar riffs. There's this huge primal presence in Howlin Wolf, Plant explained. We tried to get as black as we could. As they say in England, a miss is as good as a mile, but occasionally we got there. That self-deprecating comment masks a deeper truth. Plant has grown increasingly conscious over the years of the complex power dynamics involved when white British musicians borrowed from African-American blues traditions. But there's no doubting the sincerity of his reverence or the profound impact Wolf's work had on his development. The genetic code of Zeppelin's bluesier material traces directly back to this album.
Wolf his personality and his presence was so overpowering that he did frighten a lot of people. And he was really the last echo of deep blues. Played a lot of songs which were on one chord, which basically started the career of people like Clapton, Zeppelin.
4. Dion, Run Around Sue.
I found that place for lovers who wander, yeah, whoa.
Dion DiMucci's Run Around Sue might seem an unexpected choice, but it represents a crucial element of Robert Plant's musical education, the vulnerability beneath rock and roll's swagger. Emerging from the Bronx with his doo-wop roots intact, Dion brought streetwise authenticity to songs about heartbreak, longing, and the bitter lessons of young love. The title track became a massive hit, but the full album revealed an artist balancing toughness with genuine emotional honesty. There was vulnerability in those early rock and roll records, Plant explained. They weren't all bravado. There was heartbreak too, and that's what makes them real. This wasn't the dangerous blues of Howlin Wolf or the menacing instrumentals of Link Wray. This was a different kind of truth, one that acknowledged that being cool didn't mean you couldn't hurt. Plant has often emphasized the emotional range in early American rock and roll, how the music could swing from lust to sorrow within a single verse. It's a sensibility that runs throughout Led Zeppelin's catalog, where thunderous anthems like Immigrant Song sit alongside tender ballads such as Thank You and The Rain Song. That dynamic range, that refusal to be one-dimensional, owes a debt to artists like Dion who proved you could be both tough and tender. Dion embodied that duality, Plant reflected. He was cool, but he felt things. That's rare. Run Around. Sue showed that rock and roll didn't have to choose between vulnerability and strength. The most powerful music contained both. 3. Jefferson Airplane. Surrealistic Pillow. By 1967, rock music had broken free of its boundaries. Jefferson Airplane's Surrealistic Pillow captured that moment when the genre turned from rebellion to revelation. With Grace Slick's commanding voice on White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, the album became both a psychedelic anthem and a blueprint for artistic freedom. This was rock as mind expansion as cultural manifesto. It's like a hallucination, Plant said. It starts like a whisper and ends like a sermon. The album's slow-building intensity and dreamlike atmosphere deeply influenced him. The bolero-style rise of White Rabbit, from fragile calm to explosive climax, foreshadowed Zeppelin's own mastery of dynamics.
Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit.
Its echoes can be heard in Kashmir's Grandeur, No Quarter's Haunted Drift, and Stairway to Heaven's Patient Ascent. Jefferson Airplane proved rock could be daring without losing emotion, ambitious without losing soul. It takes you somewhere else, Plant reflected. And isn't that the whole point? Surrealistic Pillow showed him that music could elevate, not just entertain a vision Zeppelin would later turn into thunder. 2. Love Forever Changes. Jefferson Airplane captured psychedelia's optimism. Love's Forever Changes revealed its darker truth. Released in late 1967, it fused baroque beauty with rock tension, acoustic fragility with electric fire. Arthur Lee's songs moved from grace to paranoia, painting a portrait of America on the edge. Arthur Lee was a poet, Plant said. He could see the cracks before the rest of us did. Beneath the lush arrangements lay unease, love, death, and disillusionment woven into one. The album taught Plant that contrast creates power. Its horns, strings, and guitars clashed and danced in perfect balance, a lesson that would echo through Zeppelin's houses of the holy and physical graffiti. It's beautiful and terrifying, Plant reflected. Forever Changes showed him that art could live between opposites, beauty and decay, chaos and calm, and that tension itself could be transcendent. 1. Bob Dylan. Desire.
Dylan's got to be One More Cup of Coffee, I think.
Of all the records that shaped Robert Plant, none struck him deeper than Bob Dylan's Desire. Released in 1976, it blended folk, world music, and storytelling, into something mystical and untamed. One More Cup of Coffee, the song Plant often cites, felt like a spell whispered from another world. With its winding violin lines and hypnotic rhythm, it wasn't just a song, it was a vision. Dylan was the guy who woke us all up, Plant said. He made it sexy, and he brought it home in a vital way. What captivated him wasn't protest or politics, but poetry, the way Dylan's words wandered like dreams, how they turned folk music into mythology. Each verse felt like a journey, both intimate and infinite. Plant carried that influence into his own work, from the mythic imagery of Stairway to Heaven to the desert mysticism of Kashmir. Dylan showed him that lyrics could roam without boundaries, that songs didn't have to return to where they began. It's like a prayer, Plant reflected, but one where you're not sure who's listening. Desire taught him that mystery was not the enemy of meaning, it was the essence of it. In Dylan's music, Plant found what he would chase for the rest of his life: freedom, beauty, and the courage to never explain everything.